So it says we're live. So I'll wait a minute for people to come on. It used to tell me how many people were present. It does not seem like it does that anymore. So if you all on Slack can just let me know that you can see me and hear me okay, then we can begin. Okay, good. You guys, some of you already knew the routine. Very good. So tonight I wanted to give you all a kind of orientation about the portal grade and initiation, the logic behind some of what we're going to be doing, the expectations that I will have of you, and some things that you can begin doing now to help prepare yourself and be ready. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome and congratulate all of you on your hard work and on your acceptance into this candidacy. This is very important, very dear to my heart, as it should be very dear to all of yours. The training of initiates is always a very important thing for a teacher, and it brings me a lot of joy to see such a large class of students who have really dedicated themselves to the practice and put in the extra work so that you could prepare yourself for the mystery. So this is a chance to, it's the culmination, the apex of the last few years of your training. Now, in a lot of ways, your training begins now. It's not something that you're going to wait for 2 years. The whole purpose of the portal grade is that I need to try to do something difficult. I need to try to prepare you for initiation when you are the first class of candidates who never lived with Ramos or I, or spent a great deal of time, a month or two at a time, 3 months at a time here with us regularly. This creates its own unique set of obstacles. Primarily, we need to try to bridge the gap in your own practice experience as much as possible between you and where the previous initiates were when they were initiated. This is quite a vast gap in experience. And secondly, we have to bridge the gap of education. There are many things that people such as Kefayas de Leisan, Agayos, Nesatheas, that they learned, that they picked up on just almost through osmosis, just by being around us, being around myself year after year, and receiving many different oral teachings, being here on the Sundays, things of that sort. It's worth mentioning that this is such a thing, this is such an issue, that after I've initiated the students from the online school, after I've initiated as many of you that are going to reach initiation, whether it's 2021, 2023, 2025, but either way, the students that are in the school right now will be the last students to be initiated who are not required to live here, right? You all are being kind of grandfathered in. In the future, I will not be teaching the Theurgic Mysteries to students online. I will require that if a student who has drawn attracted and close to me through Three Awakenings or through some of my other teachings or writings or books, if a student draws close and wants to learn the Theurgic Mysteries from me, in the future they will be required to actually live here near me and be able to visit regularly to receive the teachings. So that's how much of an obstacle distance learning creates in terms of being prepared for initiation. So in order to try to offset this, I've created this portal grade training class, this portal grade curriculum. And it's going to proceed in a way where I'm going to try to give you an immense amount of teachings over the course of the next 2 years. I'm going to just cram your brains with as much oral tradition as I can. And then there will be 4 mandatory retreats. Now, these retreats for international students, only 3 of them are mandatory. For students that live in the United States, all 4 retreats will be mandatory, okay? Because you do not have excessive hardship, right? People coming from another country, have a kind of excessive hardship in order to try to reach all four. And it would be a little unreasonable to expect that of them. That being said, you should, in your mind, even if you're an international student, treat all four retreats as though they're mandatory. Okay, because these four retreats are what I'm going to use to decide whether or not I'm going to initiate you. Being in this class does not in any way make you or certify you for initiation. Okay, being here, attending all the workshops, coming to all the retreats does not in any way guarantee your initiation. I alone reserve the right to initiate you into these teachings and into this lineage. Okay, because the karmic burden that's involved, the spiritual exchange that's involved, the laying of my mantle upon you, and giving you the charge and the authority to do those practices in the inner school, as well as all initiation into the inner school comes with the authority to teach the teachings of the outer school. Okay, so this is a very vast situation. Okay, it does not make you a Daskalos. Being initiated into the inner school does not make you a Daskalos. Daskalos means that you are a recognized teacher within the lineage, within the school, and have the authority to teach other people within that lineage. Okay? Being initiated means you have the authority to guide a few people on the path, when and where you seem fit, according to different karmic circumstances, and ultimately try to bring them to the main lineage itself. Okay. Whereas a Daskalos is somebody that's been recognized as a good teacher who has a thorough grasp of the teachings in the outer school, to the extent that they are actually able to lead classes, lead workshops, and be a stand-in and representative for myself to other students in the outer school. And so they're slightly different titles. Every single initiate has the authority to give the teachings of the outer school to others, okay, but not in any kind of official capacity. It's in a much more personal capacity. Daskaloi have the authority to give the teachings of the outer school completely. They have full authority in that regard, whether they do it within the school itself to other students or they do it outside the school. And so this is the difference here. Either way, it's still a lot of authority, even to be able to guide a few others. So there's a lot being weighed here. There's a lot of importance placed here. It's more than just preparing you for initiation in terms of your spiritual progress. There's a lot of things that are involved. Education is very important, and the most important aspect of your education is the part that every single one of you have working against you, which is the oral tradition. Okay, the oral teachings, which the students who live near me have been able to receive abundantly, and which the students who live with us at different times were able to receive abundantly and unceasingly. Many of you have barely received a few drops of. You've only been able to receive them at some of our annual retreats or when you came for personal retreat. This is a large obstacle, actually, because it means that your mind is probably not completely calibrated in terms of understanding what the path is really about. You haven't been able to receive a lot of just small little corrections from myself or from other Daskaloi to help you change how you understand the path. One of the things we're going to be trying to do in all these workshops and in these retreats is utterly inundate you with what we call pith instructions, right? The core, the heart instructions. They're not things to be memorized or learned or written on paper. These are pith instructions, mean the core essence of the thing, right? They mean the distilled essence of a teaching. And a pith instruction is something that helps you have metanoia. Pith instruction is something which helps you see the teachings in the proper light, the way that they're meant to be seen. And many aspirants on the path, they can't see the teachings the way they're actually meant to be seen. So this is the importance of the oral instructions. And this is one of the things that I'm going to be conveying to you all constantly to make sure that you really get it. Okay, you really understand what spiritual path is about. Every student, every single one of you that are here in this portal class are here because I think that you get it. Okay, I think that when I look at our exchanges, when I look at our consultations together, when I look at your practice journals, when I look at your emails with me, there's an underlying current that you're beginning to grasp what the path is really about. But still, there's a lot of additional instruction needed, because even if you're beginning to grasp what the path is really about, all of you are going to be a little off in how you think about different aspects of the path. And that's something that can only be learned by copious time around the teacher. And I can't promise you'll even have it by the time you're initiated in 2021, because I can't promise that it's able to be conveyed without actually living near your teacher and spending as much time around the teacher as you can. Because, and the reason why I say that is to make those corrections requires that I'm around you enough to hear you speak about the path and hear you say something wrong about it, so that then I can correct you immediately and change the way you think about it. That's something that only time can give. So we need to understand odds are stacked against you a little bit, but you have to see it as a challenge. You have to see it as something that that you can rise to. It means you have to put in a lot of work. I will absolutely not initiate someone who I don't think is ready. You have to understand that. I don't care about people's feelings in the slightest. I don't care about your own hopes and dreams. I care about you maturing into a successful initiate. That means you have to be initiated at the right time. If there are circumstances involved that are not good for your path, if the path develops, you all have already spoken about this a little bit, but I can almost guarantee you things are going to begin happening in your life over this next 2 years. The universe is going to test you. Some of you have already been tested, and some of you, I feel, are karmically at a more mature place, whereas some of you are karmically at a less mature place, even though your practice has matured a lot. So there's a few students in this class who have not been around as long as some of the other people in the portal grade. That means I think that even though your practice isn't necessarily as mature, your karma has matured a lot, the mind has matured a lot, the soul is far along on its path. There's not a particular set of requirements to make the portal grade. That's why some of you in here are in level 3, some of you in here are in level 2. Okay? And I may very well put someone from level 1 in there if I desire. It's about where the karma of the person is, where their understanding of the path is, where their heart is. Because when I initiate you, I'm giving you a very sacred canon. I'm giving you very sacred tools. And how you use those tools are going to reflect severely on your karma in this life and on my karma as well. And I'll be judged for your own misuse of the teachings that I give you. And you'll be judged doubly or triply so because of the oaths you broke. There are oaths that are taken upon initiation. These oaths are not oaths of fealty to myself. I don't believe in those. They're not oaths of fealty to myself. Could you close those blinds now? They're not oaths of fealty to the order. You don't have to take an oath, some kind of blood oath swearing if you ever break this, then, monsters are going to come kill you or something like a lot of these schools do. There's nothing like that. The oaths are oaths of secrecy. This is one of the most important aspects of initiation. In initiation, we're trying to create a psychological moment of intensity for you. You can't get too in your head thinking that the initiations are, just this huge esoteric celestial event. It has that place there. The initiation itself very beautiful. There's a lot of imagery and symbolism employed in it, and very powerful prayers and mantras employed in it to help bestow the blessings of the lineage on you and to help ensure that there are less obstacles to your path. So these are the benefits of initiation. Initiation confers its own benefits because it helps remove obstacles to your longevity. It helps remove obstacles to your enlightenment. And it helps open up some of the dormant centers and karmas in the body. Karmas from previous lives of a desire to be initiated, which are holding you back. And so now those are fulfilled and energy can flow more freely. And it helps plant the seed in the soul of realization. It sets into motion a chain of things so that even if you die in this life before you can achieve realization, then in your next life you'll achieve realization. So initiation is, first, it's there to protect you. Secondly, it's there to protect the teachings. And in some ways, even that's the most important thing. Okay? The initiation protects you from your karmas and from the universe. But secondly, initiation protects the teachings. And that's the importance of the oath. Okay, the importance of the oath. I'm not too attached to you being with me or some other teacher, or this school or some other school, but I am attached to learning the techniques properly, preserving their secrecy, and passing them on properly when the time should come, if your karma allows you to be such a teacher. Initiation protects the teachings. These are teachings which are very specific and techniques which are very profound and powerful. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean that if some other people in the outer school or some other good amateur practitioners learned it, it would be a bad thing. It's not like it's going to necessarily fry their brain or burn their heart out or, you know, burn up the kidneys or cause a lot of health issues. It might, which is why such teachings only need to be bestowed to the right people, or else you can harm somebody. But it's not necessarily that these teachings are so profound that you have to be an initiate to be able to do it. No, the initiation protects the teachings by creating a powerful psychological moment. This moment is created through prayer. This moment is created through the dress and the attire and the symbolism of the ceremony, through the specialty of the moment, through the fasting you did beforehand, the prayers and preparation for the ritual. It's created through all the mantras and incantations, the offerings, the incense, the gestures, the circumambulations, the sacred figures you have to walk during the ceremony, the oath that you take. All these things are to create an apex psychological moment in your mind that you won't forget. You'll forget many other nights in your life, but you won't forget that night. That is actually one of the most important things of an initiation. It's pure psychological drama to create a night that you will not forget. The main reason doing this is so that you never forget your oath. You take your oath very seriously. You realize it's not like other promises you've made, because you made that promise on that night, and that night was not like other nights. The oath protects the teachings, because if you learn one of these techniques and you don't learn it under oath, and you don't learn it in a special moment, it doesn't mean a lot to you that you learned it, and the oath doesn't mean a lot to you, the promise you took. And you want to just share these teachings with everybody. You think the world would be a better place, and maybe you're right. But then this is what happens. You share the teachings with everybody. And then some of them are not fit receptacles for the teaching, so they hear it wrong. They remember it wrong. They practice it wrong. And then they teach it to other people the way they remembered it, heard it, and practiced it. And then they learn it wrong, and they practice it wrong. And then some amongst them will likewise hear it wrong and practice it wrong. Right? Remember it wrong. And memory and time will change the way they remember the practice. And then after 2 or 3 generations of this, there are 100 different forms of that technique now in the world. And not a single person alive anymore knows which one was the original, knows which one actually was the authentic one, which produced the generations and generations of enlightened masters who practiced with it. This is why secrecy is so important. Secrecy doesn't mean you're higher than somebody else. Secrecy should never be used to treat somebody like they're uninitiated, like they're profanos. There's a tradition in a lot of the mystery schools where they treat people uninitiated like they're dead. Okay? This is actually old Taoist term, right? The old Taoist term for uninitiated person is now used for white people. Okay, it's guaylo. And actually it means like a walking dead person. It means like a zombie, like a ghost. Okay? And that was a term used in Taoist mysteries to refer to anybody not initiated. The Egyptians do the same thing. The Egyptians would refer to people uninitiated as mummies, right? As walking dead people. And I understand why they thought that. But that is not proper mindset of an initiate. It's not proper mindset of someone trying to reach enlightenment. It works just fine for someone trying to have powers. And many people in those mystery schools are just after power. But for someone trying to have authentic realization, such a mindset doesn't work. So instead, you have to develop compassion. It's not about looking down on others and thinking that they themselves are not suitable for the teachings you've received. It's not about looking down on others as though you're superior to them. If you think you're superior to others just because of what you've learned, I can teach a parrot to recite the sacred mantras. It's nothing special in learning the sacred mantra. Special thing is how it affects your heart and your mind, and how your mind and your heart allow you to be affected and changed by the mantra. You have to be fertile soil for the practices. There's no practice alive can get through a thick head. Okay? No practice alive can get through a cold heart. And so you have to work on those yourselves. You have to have a nice, light, open head, right? One that floats away easily into truth and gnosis, not one that gets weighed down all the time. Most of our teaching in the coming years is going to be conveying to you the essence of the path. Yes, you'll learn a lot of little things that you need to take notes about. You'll learn about all the different ritual items. You'll learn about ritual philosophy and theurgy. We'll spend a lot of time on Platonic philosophy and the Platonic teachings. I want my initiates to be very well educated in these things. Because one thing I'll be beating into your heads over and over again is that in magic, knowledge is power. The more knowledge you can throw at a situation, the more knowledge you can include into your rituals, the more knowledge you include into your mantras, the more knowledge you include into your fastings, the more result you're going to get. So because of this, you have to fill your mind with knowledge. There's two kinds of knowledge you're going to be working on all the time in the inner school. First is episteme. Episteme means the paradoxa, means the teachings of the tradition, teachings of the lineage. Second kind of knowledge you'll be learning is gnosis. Gnosis means intuitive knowledge from your direct experience with divine realities. You do not have to be in the Gnostic state to be initiated. Yet you will find, soon after your initiation, Gnosis will dawn and will come. And your own activities will determine whether Gnosis forever remains a lady who just flirts with you and runs, or if she becomes a faithful lover and stays with you forever. You can't be scaring Gnosis away all the time. Okay? You have to turn yourself into a charming person, a charming person for Gnosis to come and to be with. And so don't scare Gnosis away. So that intuitive knowledge be filling you. You'll begin learning things, and you can't quite understand how you know it. You can't quite explain how you know some of the things you know. Intuitive knowledge begins to arise in the Gnostic state. But episteme is very important. Episteme is the understanding of where you're aiming. For this, we will work a lot on philosophy in the next 2 years. Because you have to understand the importance of philosophy. You can be the best archer in the world. You can have the best bow in the world. You can have the best arrows in the world. But if you don't know what you're shooting at, it doesn't matter. An amateur archer beats you every time with the worst bow in the world and the worst arrows in the world. And they're going to beat you because they're shooting at least in the right direction. They know what the target is. If you're the best archer in the world but you don't know what to hit, then you're a bad archer. Philosophy is about understanding what the target is. The practices are about becoming a good archer. So your mantras, yantras, tantras, your rituals, your prayers, your practices in internal alchemy, these things make you a strong archer. They give you a good bow, they give you strong arrows, they give you good arms, they give you good eyes. None of that matters anything if you don't know what to hit. So philosophy is understanding what to hit, what you're aiming at. So because of this, we'll do lots and lots of philosophy until it moves from being boring to being exciting and prevalent in your practice. Because especially when trying to enter into the Gnostic state, Gnosis will solidify to the extent that your philosophy advances. When you advance in philosophy, you'll advance in Gnosis. Because then you can experience the philosophy itself. And then at that point, you'll develop an unceasing admiration for Plato, for Pythagoras, for Iamblichus, for great beings like Adi Shankaracharya, and Nagarjuna, Lao Tzu, and others. You begin to develop profound respect for them, because you'll experience the reality of what they've taught directly yourself. My main emphasis with you all is not special secret teachings. It's not special secret techniques. It is turning you into initiates. This means you have to cultivate virtue. This means you have to train your mind to think right. This means you have to train your body and your energies to be healthy and supportive. It's very simple. You have to take care of your body. If you have habits that are bad for your body, you need to begin getting rid of them. If you're overweight, you need to slim down. If you're underweight and sickly and emaciated, you need to strengthen up. If you don't exercise, you need to exercise. If you can't touch your toes, you need to start stretching. We don't want you moving around all stuck up, because your energy is going to begin flowing very powerfully when you learn the techniques in the inner school. And if it keeps hitting roadblocks because your body is falling apart, your alchemy is never going to come to fruition. You gave it a crappy field to grow in, so it's not going to grow. You may reach enlightenment, but you'll never have body of light. And if you have enlightenment without body of light, your enlightenment is going to become an obstacle to your longevity, because the body will not be able to capacitate your realizations. So one or two things will happen. Either you'll continue to have higher and higher realizations, and then eventually you'll have one so vast, and you'll try to open up your eyes, come out of meditation, but body is dead. Okay? You left the body behind, you couldn't capacitate it. Or you'll hit a wall that you're never able to surpass in your realization, because the body can't handle it. So you have to make sure your body is clean. You have to make sure your body is strong. You have to make sure the body is flexible. Many different Neigong techniques. I'm going to teach you a lot of different internal alchemy. Give you a lot of different techniques to help strengthen you. We're going to be doing lots of standing postures together. We're going to teach you a lot of different Dao Yin practices to do to ensure good energy flow. And lifestyle things. In our 4 retreats that we do, each retreat is going to cover one of the main kinds of kawa, one of the main kinds of retreat that I do. So when I do a retreat, generally that retreat is either an alchemy retreat, a dark retreat, or it's a theurgic and prayer oriented retreat. These are the 3 main basic retreats that we're going to be doing in the first 3 workshops, for the first 3 retreats. The 4th retreat will be a little bit of everything, because 4th retreat culminates in the initiation itself. So I won't be trying to teach you a new retreat. I'll be trying to refine some of the things you've already learned in the 4th retreat. 4th retreat will be in February 2021, because that's the retreat the actual initiation took place in. In the first 3 retreats, first retreat will be teaching you all the ins and outs of how to properly perform a retreat for internal alchemy. That's a very difficult retreat, very demanding physically. Second retreat will be a theurgic retreat. 3rd retreat will be dark retreat. Okay. All of these are extremely demanding in different ways. The theurgic and the dark retreats are very demanding psychologically. Theurgic retreat, you're going to be constantly uncomfortable. Really, you're going to be uncomfortable in all of them. Internal alchemy retreat, you're going to be uncomfortable because you're going to be sore. Okay, you're going to be doing lots of standing postures. You're going to be doing lots of horse stance. You're going to be doing lots of breathing techniques. You're going to be doing lots and lots of sitting and meditating, doing different energy cycles. You're going to be sore, you're going to be tired. Theurgic retreat, you're going to be hungry and you're going to be sleepy, because you're not going to be allowed to eat much. You're not going to be allowed to sleep much. And dark retreat will be very psychologically trying, because you have to face all your own inner fears when you're in dark retreat. So I'm going to teach you how to perform these 3 kinds of retreat Partly so that I can arm you with the knowledge so that you can do it moving forward. And partly so that I can push you and see what your animal self looks like. We can see what kind of beast is really in there that you're hiding. Is it one that we can deal with? Or is it one that still needs years of work to consider you for initiation? Is it one that tries to make you bite me? Or is it one that sits when it's told to sit? I have to do that to try to coax it out of you, right? We all have a little monster in us. Like Plato says, we all have a monster, right? Many-headed, some heads good, some heads bad. So I have to create situations where the monster shows, right? Shows its head. And then we can sit and look at it, okay? A monster is going to be telling you one thing. It's going to be telling you quit, 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 over and over and over. So in the retreats, we'll see if the monster wins or if you win. So that's another purpose of the retreat, is to bring that out, take a look at some of the nastier sides of your psychology, so we can have a real better, more honest take of how ready you are for initiation. The retreats are designed with the intent of thinning the number of students in the portal grade. That being said, I sincerely hope not a single one of you fails. I sincerely hope that I initiate every single one of you into the inner school. That's my hope and my desire. But still, I have to create hardships because there are certain gaps of experience that can't be crossed other way. Because you haven't been around me for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and because I didn't make you go through all the training, I made people like Tele Sankafes, Nesta guys go through. I have to push you till you feel like you're going to quit. You have to get to that point. It's a very important point. You have to get to the point where everything in your ego is thinking, no way, it's not worth it. If you get to that point and keep going, it means that your spiritual path was about something than your own ego. It was about something greater than your own ego. That means you actually understand what the path is about. So then you're worthy of initiation. I'll initiate you. If you get to that point and the ego wins, it means your path was only ever about you. Your path was only ever about your ego, which means you're not suitable for initiation. Still a child in the eyes of the masters, of the adepts. Aside from the weekly retreats or the week-long retreats, we will do a number of online workshops. These everybody should attend. Workshops will cover many different subjects about theurgic philosophy, subjects about history, subjects about Platonic philosophy, subjects about actual ritual practice, all the different ritual implements, aspects of a ritual, talismanic magic, things of this sort. You will be taught some ritual practice in the theurgic retreat. Okay, when we do the week-long retreat here for theurgy, you'll be taught, as has been my habit with all my previous initiates, you'll be given the chief invocation of the inner school, called the Holy Union. You'll be given this practice to begin teaching you how to learn your ritual implements. And because it's the ABCs of our school's ritual practice, okay? In it you'll learn all the opening rites we use, you'll learn the closing prayers and rites that we use that accompany almost every single ritual we do. You'll learn how to use all your different ritual implements and items. I think almost every single item is used in that ritual. And so it's kind of your ABCs. It teaches you about the style of theurgic ritual in our school and how it's done. And it's generally been tradition that I give that to students a year and a half or so before their actual initiation. So in the theurgic retreat, we'll go over that. I'll teach you, I'll empower you into it. We'll practice it together over and over to make sure you all understand how to practice it right. That being said, you absolutely have to get all of your ritual items. Main ritual items that you need to be able to perform rituals of our school, of our lineage. You need the drum, you need chalice, you need the bell, you need a dagger or a wand. They're interchangeable in our school. Wands have more specific uses that you'll learn about as we teach. You need fan. These are your main basic things. Your drum, your chalice, your bell, your dagger or wand, and your fan. You have to make sure that you have these, else you're not going to be able to perform the ritual. And you need to work on your consecrations. You need to work on your practice. Every single one of you should be trying to have a 2-hour minimum daily ascesis routine. And if you can do more, do more. Ascesis in the inner school is a little bit of alchemy and a lot of prayer and ritual and silence. If your lifestyle is good, which it should be, if your lifestyle is good, you only need a little bit of alchemy each day. 30 minutes or an hour of internal alchemy a day is fine for most people. When you're initiated into the inner school, you'll be given very powerful practices that you really can't do for more than 30 or 40 minutes at a time for internal alchemy. That's done so that can accomplish everything. It frees up your time to focus on your ritual and your prayer. Theurgy is about solely the apoptic vision. Okay. Need you to understand that, because you need to understand what theurgy actually is. We can call everything I teach theurgy, but that's not accurate. Okay. Everything I teach is not theurgy. They'll become more and more clear as I begin teaching more and more people and start doing more public workshops and teachings. Theurgy is specific science. It's a science that I will not give everyone that I teach. It is a science that will not be the next step for everyone that I teach. I have no intention of, at this moment, of making theurgy something big, making theurgy something that I try to teach everybody, making theurgy something that everyone has to aim for. Theurgy is particular science suitable to particular kinds of people with particular kinds of karmas. It's not necessary for enlightenment. It's not necessary for internal alchemy. It's not necessary for body of light, but it helps facilitate all those things. Now, if we look in the lives of many great masters who had things like the body of light, we'll see theurgy often played a role at different parts in their training. Theurgy, at its essence, is about one thing. It's about the apoptic vision. That's its primary function. Apoptic vision means to witness God, to see the face of God. In our tradition, to see the face of God also accomplishes the inner alchemy and enlightenment. That's tradition of Iamblichus. Because the gods have a perfect energy, they're bestowed upon you. And therefore you have perfect energy, internal alchemy is accomplished. Because the gods have perfect realization, and you see their face, they're bestowed upon you, you have perfect realization. But we try to support our path, every side, the way that I teach. You do some internal alchemy, and you work on your own enlightenment. These are separate things. You can have very, very powerful internal alchemy with no enlightenment. Okay? I have teachers, some of my teachers had teachers who are incredibly strong people with many siddhis, many magic powers, and no enlightenment. Enlightenment means seeing the nature of reality as it really is. Enlightenment means to see things as they actually are, not as you think them to be, imagine them to be, or perceive them to be. Internal alchemy has many different phases. Some of those phases depend upon enlightenment, some of them don't. Body of light depends on enlightenment. You can't have body of light without enlightenment. You can have translucent body of chi without enlightenment. This means that you have almost superhuman strength and powers, because the body becomes very numinous, like the flow of energy itself. But that's not body of light. Body of light means you don't leave behind a body or as much of a body when you pass. You can't know for certain somebody has the body of light until they pass. Body of light depends on enlightenment. If your internal alchemy is very strong, then the moment of realization, when realization dawns, it ignites the chi in your body, which is vibrating at the speed of sound, and turns it into light, vibrating at the speed of light. When your personal energy goes from vibrating to the speed of sound to vibrating speed of light, the body of light begins to dawn. And gradually, this conversion takes place over a long period of time. If you convert 20% of your body to light, 20% of your body will shrink away and fade away after you pass. If you convert 100% of your body to light, 100% of your body will disappear after you pass. We'll spend much more time talking about these things in later workshops. I only bring it up here to help you understand that the system that I teach, theurgy is a part of. And that's what the inner school is. The inner school is a vehicle for theurgy. with oaths there to help protect some of the secret internal alchemy teachings that I give. That being said, there will be students who I never give my theurgy to, but who I give all my internal alchemy to. And that's because not everybody is even inclined to perform theurgy, let alone should they do it. And they'll have to take some kind of oath. The reason why theurgy takes such a higher place, because it enables you, it gives you so much power. Theurgy gives you tremendous power. So because of that, we have to respect it immensely and treat it as a very big thing when we learn it. It gives you your arms and legs in the astral realm. It gives you power to accomplish a lot of good. But power itself is neutral. Power can be good or bad. So this is why theurgy is taught more strictly, not to everyone. Many of the rituals in the inner school are about actually benefiting other beings. And that's the second thing theurgy is about. First thing theurgy is about is apopsia, witnessing the divine beatitude. Second thing theurgy is about is enlightened activity. The reason why theurgy is so important to me is because regardless of the other teachings on internal alchemy, regardless of the teachings on jnana, wisdom, realization, it is my personal experience that theurgy facilitates both realization and the body of light in a way nothing else can. Because you take your enlightenment and you externalize it into the world and benefit beings with it. You take your energy and you open it up to the heavenly worlds and replace your human energy with immortal energy, the energy of the gods. Only theurgy can accomplish that. No amount of internal alchemy is going to circulate the energy of the gods. The energy of the gods only comes by the presence of the gods, and the presence of the gods only comes through prayer. And prayer is the functional basis and essence of theurgy. All theurgic rites are just ritualized forms of prayer. They're formal prayers. A prayer with a lot of knowledge applied to it. So prayer has to be a constant part of your life as you practice and prepare for initiation in these next 2 years. Prayer needs to be something that you live in, something that you breathe. To this extent, every single one of you should begin trying to accumulate recitations of Kuriya Leison. And to say 3 million Kuriya Leison before initiation is ideal. It'll help purify your garments. It'll help purify obstacles. Sounds like a lot, but it's not so much. But it will encourage you to try to say usually at least 10,000 Kuriya Leison a day, which keeps you in the habit of prayer, keeps you in the habit of being mindful of God, or remembering God. In the morning when you chant Kuriya Leison, you should accompany it with prostrations. Ideally, you should do 100 prostrations in the morning while chanting Kuriya Leison. Because then the mind, visualizing God, is the mind offering. So you can only act 3 ways. You can only act in mind, speech, and body. The brilliant realization that the Buddha had. Only 3 kinds of activity you can perform. You can only do something in your mind, or with your speech, or with your body. Those are the only 3 ways you can accomplish anything. So by visualizing deity and prostrating before it, you accomplish offering the mind to the deity. By saying Kuriya Leison, you offer speech to the deity. By the physical prostration, you offer the body to the deity. Constantly offering mind, speech, and body to the deity, you gradually become more like the deity. So, importance of prayer, we're going to spend a lot of time talking on, because prayer is the essence of theurgic rite. You'll be taught some different prayer cycles as well. So this covers the main aspects, main components of what I'm going to be trying to accomplish with you all. You wouldn't be in this class if I didn't think you were going to succeed. Okay, I didn't invite people who I thought would fail. So just by being in the path, just by being here in this class, I think you're all going to succeed. Okay? I don't care if you let me down, but don't let yourselves down. You can't let me down because I don't have expectations. But don't let yourself down. Really, that's the only way you can let me down, is let yourself down. Okay, that's the only thing that I hope for, is that you don't let yourself down. That you live up to your own expectations. Okay? This is a great example, a great opportunity. If you receive initiation, then you become a child of the mysteries. You become brothers and sisters of the mysteries, which is profound. Helps open up the spirit world to you. Your initiation is going to be as profound as you make it. Part of this training is to make sure that it remains profound, and that the initiation itself is a turning point in your life, and that you use it properly, don't waste it, put it to good use. So now I'll let you all ask some questions that you may have. Questions can be about more or less anything, but the subject of your initiation and portal grade would be ideal in the training. So Nikolai has asked a question about a point where we get instructions on how to choose the fan, drum, and chalice. So I'll try to write up something for you so that you can understand what to look for in all the main ritual items, and a good drum, a good chalice, a good fan, good dagger or wand. But mostly you should be pretty much intuitive. Okay, don't buy something cheap. Don't buy something that looks bad. Buy something that you like and that's made out of good materials. Okay, fan shouldn't be a bunch of fake feathers, should be real feathers. The drum shouldn't be made out of cheap synthetic material. Drum should be made out of real wood and real leather. Okay? Chalice shouldn't be made out of some kind of fake material or glass or something breaks easily. Chalice should be opaque. You shouldn't be able to see through it. It needs to be opaque because you can't see the wine when you do the invocation. The main invocation you're going to be doing is into the chalice. Chalice represents the invocation, represents the soul. And you shouldn't be able to see into the wine because otherwise you're preventing it from transforming. So you want the chalice to be opaque so you can't see into it. And it should be, you know, fairly tall, not something so small. It doesn't actually matter, but a little bigger is nice. And again, something made out of something good. Some of the students have like a brass chalice or something copper. Mine is made out of pewter, you know, and silver. And so, and I think pewter or silver are very good. Gold is very good if you can afford it. Preferably with nothing too religious on it, unless there's some religious symbols that you resonate with. A lot of chalices have Catholic symbolism on them. And Jim has asked about monthly ascesis calls. Monthly ascesis calls would be good, monthly or every other month, but don't, you know, inundate me with hour-long ascesis calls. Just the 15-minute ascesis consults, 15-20-minute ascesis consults once a month would be ideal with every single one of you. Okay. And I'm going to be, as much as I can, trying to price the retreats here very fairly. Okay. Because of the number of students, we can't house you here. Otherwise, the retreats could be much cheaper. Because of the number of students, we're going to have to rent a facility. And we're going to have to rent a facility for the whole week every time we do these. And that's going to be costly. I can't lose money training you all. I don't need to make money. I don't care about making money. I'm not teaching you guys to make money. Okay? If I was teaching you guys to make money, I'd have, I'd have restructured the way I do things a long time ago. Okay, I'm not teaching you all to make money. I'm not initiating you to make money. The struggles themselves are their own kind of initiation requirement. But nonetheless, I have to charge. I can't lose money initiating you guys. If I had the money to lose, I would gladly lose money initiating you. But I have no money to lose. Okay? So the pricing has to be fair and in a way that is easy for you all, because for some of you, the travel is already going to be quite a burden. I can tell you for certain that the first retreat that we do in fall is going to be connected to the main annual TDS fall retreat, because I want all of you to still attend the fall retreat. Community is very important. Okay, I want you all to still attend the main fall retreat. So the first Ascesis retreat that I do with you all will actually be at Twin Rivers Resort the week that we do the retreat. We're still working out the exact dates. And what'll happen is we'll all get there on Monday, and we'll do our Ascesis, well, really Sunday. We'll do our Ascesis retreat Monday to Friday. And then Friday evening, you'll join the main TDS retreat. The main TDS retreat will begin Friday evening and go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with everyone leaving Monday. Okay, so that's going to be how the first retreat's done. The next spring retreat in 2020 will be just us. And then the fall retreat probably be the same. It'll blend into the main retreat. And the initiation retreat will be just us. But in all these situations, we're either going to have to rent for a longer period of time buildings we're already renting, or we're going to have to rent buildings just for us. Okay? And it has to be secluded where we can do our rituals without being disturbed or disturbing others. And so these things can get a little expensive. So I'm trying to keep the pricing as fair as I possibly can. Okay? Like I said, I can't lose money, but I don't need to make money. I just want to teach you guys well. Vidar asked about consecration. No, you don't need to consecrate the fan and the drum specifically. You can consecrate them just with some incense and sprinkling sacred water on them. They get consecrated through use. They're not made out of a material that easily holds energy. Okay? And the leather has its own kind of energy, and the leather from the animal begin to resonate and take on power as you use it. Marco's asked a weird question. It's not a weird question, it's just worded a little strange. Figure out what weak points of philosophical understanding is. Which you would like us to understand as per our personal development, which part of the target we need to make. Yeah, again, that's just something, Marco, that just time, you know, Ascesis, consults, things like that. I'm not going to connect you on some deep causal psychic level and tell you exactly what parts of your thinking are flawed. I need to see your thinking in action to know which parts of it are flawed. So hopefully a lot of that come out and be fixed during the actual workshops that are focused on philosophy. Jim has asked, what can we do starting now to prepare ourselves? So do chant your Kyrie eleison, work on your Kyrie eleison numbers and doing prostrations. Because in the theurgic retreat, I'm going to have all of you doing 100 prostrations every morning while chanting Kyrie eleison. And it will immediately be evident who's been doing their prostrations and who hasn't, based on how covered in sweat, red in the face, and huffing and puffing you are, and how slow you're moving once we hit about 40 or 50 prostrations. Okay, so it will that's something you should start working on now so that you don't embarrass yourself during the actual theurgic retreat. And then, of course, working on your alchemy, having good 2 or 3 hours a day of practice routines, very good. And Lewis has asked, how would you recommend incorporating Hecatonema into our Kyrie eleison recitation during the day? 1 every 100 or some other way? No, Hecatonema should be recited, you know, on its own. So it should be recited in the prayer room. Your Kyrie eleison you can chant while you're driving, you can chant while you're cleaning the dishes, you can chant while you're meditating, you can chant at night before you go to bed, you can chant while you're lying asleep, you can chant, you know, 100 rounds when you wake up first thing in the morning, you can chant it while you're on the bus, while you're on the subway, while you're waiting in line for food. And you can chant Kyrie eleison all the time. You shouldn't chant Hecatonema like that. Hecatonamai should be chanted generally in its own, its own space, in your meditation room or in your home, just walking around, concentrating on it. You can go on a walk and chant Hecatonamai, but you shouldn't be doing a bunch of other things. It's the names of a deity, so you should be focused on the form of the deity. Kyrie eleison is about a certain kind of humility being cultivated in the heart. So you can cultivate that humility while you're doing anything. Okay? But you shouldn't be like driving and intensely visualizing the anusos because it'll take your mind away from what you're doing. Not everyone has to recite Hecatonamai, but otherwise you should do, Kyrie eleison, do 1,000 or 10,000 Kyrie eleison in the morning, followed by 12 recitations of Hecatonamai, or 1,000 Kyrie eleison followed by 100 recitations of Hecatonamai. Is very conducive to spiritual progress. You should do enough Kyrie eleison that 1,000 feels like it's nothing. Can we download your videos just for ourselves? Yes, Joel. Yes, you all will be allowed to download or save any of the videos that we do, and any audio lectures, anything comes your way, you're able to keep for yourself for your own records. Michael has asked, when will they have curriculum available to read? There's no extra curriculum that you're going to be reading. Most of the curriculum is going to be focused just on the workshops that we do, the online workshops that we do. Curriculum will be written throughout the course of the year. By the end of the year, my hope is to have all of the level 2 and all the level 3 curriculum finished. Okay? So you will get new curriculum to read as that's done, and we'll go over that in the workshops. But the curriculum specific to the portal grade is going to be given in the online workshops that we do and during the personal retreats that we do. Okay? The level 2 and 3 curriculum, which is not specific to the portal grade, is but which you'll need to know, will be written and hopefully all finished by the end of 2019, by the end of this year. Is one feather like an eagle feather okay for the fan, or do we need multiple feathers? Fan should have a few feathers. It needs to actually create some wind. Maybe it's a particularly good eagle feather, it creates some breeze. But fan needs to really be able to fan something. It's not. Of course, the imagery is in the symbolism, but you should actually be able to disturb and move the energy around you with it. Okay, by creating a pretty good wind. Ideal feathers for the fan. Eagle and hawk feathers, of course, are nice, but that's these eagle feathers are legal in US. And I don't know if hawk feathers are. It's very difficult to get them. Owl feathers are nice. But again, I don't know whether they're legal or not. So okay, Cafe is looking at me saying, no, they're not legal. So if you find, a bird with some of these, as long as the universe sends it your way, it drifts along on the wind or something, that's fine. But and that's up to you. Buzzard feathers are what was used. Buzzard feathers very good in Egypt. Buzzard represents transformation. Okay. And it represents death and transformation and letting go of the world. So buzzard feathers are very good. And then you can have peacock feathers on there, very good as well, because they represent the enlightened body, the body of light, and they're connected to Venus, Aphrodite. So there's some different feathers you can have on there that you can buy without being, necessarily walking the line of legality. Turkey feathers represent increase. Buzzard feathers represent change and transformation. Okay. Owl feathers represent spirit world. And the peacock feathers represent beauty. And Jim has asked, we should read Plato philosophy every day? Yes, absolutely. Every single one of you need to get into the habit of a good 10 or 20 minute morning reading routine, morning study routine, where you start working your way through the works of Plato. And I don't know how many times now I've written up a different kind of reading list for people. So somewhere around one of you guys should have access to one of the reading lists that I've written that you can read through. Marcos asks, how private is this candidacy in portal grade? Not that I intend on making a Facebook post about it. Some people specify would like to share. What is a good prayer we can all hold an intent to for us embarking on initiation? And so, portal grade semi-private. Don't go around telling everybody about it because some people are going to be insecure. At the same time, don't be weird and standoffish about it. If somebody asks you about it, tell them about it. If someone doesn't, then don't tell them. You don't need to advertise it. If you feel like you have a close friend or something who you'd like to share some of what you're going through with, that's excellent. You should only ever try to cultivate your connection to your Tao brothers and sisters, your brothers and sisters on the path. You should be always trying to share, whether they're in the portal grade or not with you, trying to connect to them, and because they're an important part of your path. Sangha is a very important part of the path. Okay? And good prayer, you can all hold an intent to first embark on initiation. Well, good prayer is Kriya Lesan. Kriya Lesan means, Lord, I know I don't deserve this, so please forgive me. And thank you for your good graces. If you've received the the merciful prayer from me, that's a good one to do, but that one has to be given in person. So if I haven't given it to you in person, you don't have it. Hecatonema, obviously, Dionysos is Teletarchos, right? He's the archon, he's the master of initiation. So Hecatonema is very good for preparing for initiation. Really, any prayer is fine, but most important thing is always prayer to benefit others. Okay, if you embark on the path to benefit others, then you'll make a lot of progress. Embark on the path to benefit yourself, just to make progress, but it won't be as much. And of course, we should be sending prayers upon the masters a lot. We should be thinking Plato, thinking Pythagoras, thinking Orpheus, right? Sending prayers upon them and asking God to bless them and to bless their teachings. It's an important thing to be doing. We're sending prayers on the masters. Good. So this will conclude our orientation. And thank you. I'm glad. Seems like a lot of people were able to show up. I don't know how many. But I'm glad to see so many of you on. And yes, we can always do closing prayer. Should do closing prayer all the time, because without the masters, closing prayer is any masters. So when I say send prayer on the masters, you can just say Makar Hostas Yudan. Okay. Now, if you want to be a little more specific, you can add that in other Sabakiwan. Right? That's the next two lines of the prayer. But she always do closing prayer because we'd have nothing to meet and talk about without the masters that came before us. Right? We wouldn't be able to achieve initiation because there'd be no teachings to initiate you into. The masters that came before you helped illuminate these teachings. So we have to be always sending prayers on the masters. And we should always be remembering Makar Hostas at the beginning and ends of our practice sessions. Makar Hostas Yudaimon Teletaste Onedos Yotan Negestue Kai Tasue Type Sukun Makar Hostas Yudaimon Teletaste Onedos Yotan Negestue Kai Tasue Sukun Sabakion Hansas of the Moisin Tatem Nanturos Megalasor Yakubelas Tamachu and Anatos and Tetanason Kisos Testabanotes Dianoson Parapu Ite Bakai Promion Pairateon Deu Ite Bakai Promion Pairateon Deu God bless, be victorious in practices. I'm always with you. I'm always thinking about you. So please be always remembering the path and always be remembering God. And I'll be saying my prayers on all of your behalfs. And you say your prayers on behalf of the Lord. God bless, be victorious. And I'll keep you all updated as we go. I'll be working hard over the next few weeks to try to make sure we have the exact dates for the fall retreat so that you all can begin taking the time off work now. Okay? Thank you. God bless. Be victorious.